Hello and welcome to the training log for the week of March 13th. This week started with a fairly large event. I actually turned 30 on Monday, so March 13th. This, of course, means that my body is now frail and falling apart and I can no longer lift, so I decided to give it one last hurrah by doing some birthday deadlifts, which were 2 times body weight for my age, which ends up being 31 reps because I can't count. So this was 530 for 31 reps on the trap bar. I went into that day hoping I could do 500 by 30 on a deadlift bar, but I realized while I was warming up that I just don't have the conditioning for high reps deadlift right now. I haven't done them in a long time, so I've lost a bit of the skill and a bit of the physical component to be able to do them. So maybe somewhere down the line I'll go for that record, but wasn't this day. So I settled for the trap bar, which is one of my favorite tools for when you want to mentally punish yourself. Because as long as there's a will, there's a way on the trap bar, and you really can just keep pushing for way past where you think you should be able to, provided you're willing to tell yourself to just do one more rep. So by the end of this, I'm not feeling individual muscles working. I just feel like one giant tired muscle that's all firing at once, just one giant burning heavy noodle man. So it's a strange sensation. If you've never really pushed yourself on trap bar, I suggest it. So I did the trap bar set of 30 on Monday instead of benching and squatting. So I got around to Wednesday, it was my second time coming back to the front squats, and I got a new grip shirt, which I was hoping would make it easier to keep the bar in place. But this was just a really terrible front squat day. I don't know if I was tired or what it was, but the reps felt heavy. I had a lot of times where I had to put the bar back in the hooks because I could feel the lights turning off, as I talked about last week. And I even had a rep where I ended up just having to dump it at the bottom, so I couldn't say exactly what's wrong here. Maybe it's just kind of a bad idea to jump into a new squat type this late into a bulking period where there's lots of fatigue, and I've just spent the last couple months really fine-tuning the back squat technique, which is significantly different than the front squat technique, specifically for me. So I'll give it another shot next Monday, and we'll see how it feels then, and maybe I'll just decide that front squats just aren't a good idea right now. I'll do something else, or maybe I'll use like a safety squat, front squat. I don't know. We'll figure it out then. I did manage to redeem myself a little bit with my bench pressing this week. So Wednesday after the front squats, it was fine. It was just a pretty standard session. Then on Friday, which is the main bench day, the working sets were all feeling kind of heavy. They were all singles, so 4 singles at 375. And they were dual, but I didn't think I could go for more than one. So I thought I was up for another week where the AMRAP was just going to be the bare minimum. But I decided to throw on my grip shirt for that last rep just to see if it would help, and it did. I don't know if it was just knowing that I was doing the AMRAP or if the grip shirt really did help me get locked in better, but I was able to hit 375 for 3, which is a 3 rep max PR, and is one of the better sets I've had in the last couple of weeks, so I was very happy with that. You can compare these reps to the single right beforehand, and you can tell that they're moving much better. Even the third one, I think, moved better than that one single. So I think my arch is a little bit stronger. My shoulders aren't really pushing out after the first rep, which I think is a problem most of the time, which I think might be the grip shirt helping me keep locked in. And yeah, just a really solid triple and a lot more than I was expecting that day. Last Sunday, I also signed up for a strongman competition this summer, which now has the semi-final event list, one of which is a farmer's carry for distance, so max distance you can cover in 75 seconds with no picking it back up. So I'll start training the strongman events more specifically in a month or two, probably closer to a month. Once it's warmed up outside, I can bring all my stuff outside and actually train reliably in my driveway. But I decided I could start working on the grip component early, so I load up the farmer's handles and I just did a static hold. So I was able to hold the full weight, which is 270 in each hand for the full 75 seconds. And I'm not going to turn the sound on so you don't have to hear it, but when I do holds of any kind, I do kind of like doing a karaoke thing where I essentially just do really, really bad karaoke while doing the hold. And partly because it's funny and fun, but also I feel like it makes the holds go faster. If you're actually, engaged doing something, you don't necessarily notice the heaviness in your hands, so you can go a little bit longer, as opposed to sitting there focusing on the heaviness, and it feels like it takes way longer then. And the other part is that if you're, singing poorly, you're using up air, so you have to breathe more regularly, which means you can't brace as hard, so you have to get used to kind of bracing while having a continual airflow, which is what you're going to need when you're actually running the weight. My other odd lifts this week were this back and forth with Atlas Power Shrugged, who He's on Instagram. I think he's here on YouTube also. But he is definitely worth following if you're not familiar with him. I feel like most people that follow me also know about him. But if you don't, check him out. He uses odd lifts as well, but he uses them more as an actual training tool versus just fun stunts. So if you like these weird lifts and you actually want to, apply them and get stronger from them, he's definitely worth checking out, probably even more so than I am. But anyways, he made a response to my literal bench press with that kind of inverted literal bench press, and I took it one step farther, which I'll be honest, I think between the two, his wins just because I'm way too long to be sitting on a barbell like that, so my knees are bent, and it really is just not nearly as good of a push-up. But he turned around and did this. I guess you're getting very far away from what you could technically call a bench press here, but so he did this bench Turkish get up balance. I don't even know what you call them anymore. But he was talking about lifting like an athlete by working on the orthogonal and sagittal planes. So seeing as we were just kind of going completely nonsensical, I said up the ante. And if you haven't watched his whole video, you should. It's some grade A kind of satire, in my opinion. I had a lot of fun making it, and then a lot of fun just engaging the comments section. So I'm not going to try and describe what I'm talking about with this video here, but it's definitely worth checking out. And as long as we're doing shout outs, I want to give a shout out to Le Master Barbell Company, who offered to send me a pair of their deep dish 45-pound plates, which are inspired by kind of vintage designs, and they're really cool. I've seen them before, I like them, and they commented on one of my videos a while ago, and I told them that, hey, I like your plates that are inspired by the Suprise plates, which are some of the rarest, most expensive vintage plates in the world, and they offered to send me their kind of modern inspiration of those. So they're very cool, they're well made. I'm planning on painting them up kind of in the style of the old Suprise plate, which will mean gold on the man and silver on the lettering, and I think they're going to look really slick. So I'm really happy they sent them to me, and if you think they look cool, definitely check them out. That's Le Master's Barbell Company. Well, that's about all I've got for this week. As always, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, anything, feel free to drop in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you again next week.